The Joker is the self-titled clown prince of crime, and he is one of the most famous and most popular supervillains that there is in the world. And he is the perfect nemesis to Batman, as Batman is uber sane and the Joker is uber insane. They are polar opposites of each other. The Joker also doesn't have any powers, which, to a certain extent, puts him on equal footing with the Dark Knight, as they both lack meta powers. However, on occasion the Joker has manifested superpowers. After all, he's been in comics since Batman issue number 1 way back in 1940, and a lot has happened in that time in comics. And this video is going to go over 5 times that the Joker has gotten superpowers. Number 5. Super Strength. In the Injustice video game series, there is a pill which contains Kryptonian nanotech that makes a person super strong and super tough.
Increases the tensile strength of bone and tissue by several thousand%.
The Joker is able to get hold of this by manipulating Harley Quinn,
Ain't he dreamy?
who in this version of the DC universe is an ally of Batman's, and through him was able to get hold of some of these pills.
With these, a bus could fall on us, and we won't be hurt. Slapstick at its finest!
The pill gives the Joker super strength and makes his body so tough that it is bulletproof.
I should be dead. Thanks, Happy Pill.
And the Injustice pill isn't the only time that the Joker has had super strength. In the TV show The Batman, the Joker is able to steal Bane's Venom device and give himself the super strength and toughness that normally only Bane has. Something similar happens in the video game Batman Arkham Asylum. The Joker is able to get hold of the Titan formula that gives a person Bane's powers.
Even a small amount could trigger a Venom-like transformation in the host, eliminating the need for the storage tank Bane requires.
At the end of the game, he tries to give the Titan formula to Batman, which could have been interesting, but instead Batman injected himself with the antidote and stopped himself from transforming. But then the Joker does take the Titan formula himself and transforms himself into a clown version of the Hulk, super tough and super strong. It's actually quite interesting. And although some people have complained that this isn't really how the final level of this game should be, after all the Joker wasn't really ever a super strong villain, and a match between a super strong Joker and a Batman isn't really the clash of titans that everyone had been looking forward to. But even with that being said, it was still fun to play. Number 4. Healing. In the story arc, Death of the Family, the Joker captures all the Bat family in the Batcave and makes out that he's cut their faces off. This is because he has already cut off his own face because he's insane. Of course, it does later transpire that the Joker hasn't cut off all the other people's faces, although he has very much cut off his own. But after this happens, Batman loses it with the Joker and threatens him with the only thing that scares him, his real name, who he was before he became the Joker. And the Joker doesn't want to remember that, as it's too painful for him. So instead of hearing what Batman has to say, he jumps off of a cliff in the Batcave to escape the truth. And ironically, Batman was actually bluffing, as he still has no idea who the Joker originally was. But after this happens, the Joker isn't seen again for a very long time. But eventually, of course, he does return, and when he does, he has completely healed, not just from the bruises and broken bones of that day, but his face has regrown as well. And not only that, but he seems to heal from any injury, even mortal wounds. When Jim Gordon shoots him through the chest and kills him, he heals from the wound and gets back up, even though one of his arteries was punctured and he should have bled to death there and then. Batman later discovers that this is because of a chemical compound called Dionysium. I may be pronouncing that wrong as I've only seen it written down, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it from now on, so apologies if it is wrong. Now, this substance is essentially immortality juice. In this story it's said that Dionysium is what made Vandal Savage immortal way back when, and what fuels Ra's al Ghul's Lazarus pits. Although when Vandal Savage was exposed, it was to one of the most purest forms of Dionysium that there is, hence why his immortality is permanent, whereas Ra's al Ghul's Lazarus pits are a corrupted form of the Dionysium, so they are less powerful. But anyway, after the Joker went off that cliff in the Batcave, he found a pit of Dionysium, not as pure as the one Vandal Savage was exposed to, but still potent enough to heal the Joker's wounds. And it's made out in this story that the Joker is actually immortal, and is known as the Pale Man throughout history. But personally I don't think that's true. Technically it's never 100% answered whether or not the Joker is centuries old and an immortal, but it's made out to look like it's a lie, and there's certainly enough evidence for it not to be true. It's much more likely that the Joker just wants Batman to think it's true, whereas in reality he's actually just been injecting himself with Dionysium to keep his levels up in his bloodstream. Batman manages to work this out and laces his Batarang with a counter-agent to this substance, basically meaning if it hits the Joker, he will heal if he is actually an immortal, it'll just slow down his healing, but if he's not an immortal and he has just been injecting himself with Dionysium, then he won't be able to heal from this wound. Which is obviously the reason he does it, and given how the Joker panics after he's hit with the Batarang and gets worried about dying and tries to fix his body by going back into the Dionysium pit, well, to my mind it proves that the Joker isn't the Pale Man and an immortal who has lived throughout history. I can't rule it out, as other writers may change this later on, but it seems very unlikely that he's immortal. Another historical Joker healing ability is his immunity to toxins. Now, this may seem like one of the more tame superpowers on this list, but to the Joker it's actually incredibly valuable. As he is immune to all toxins, including his own Joker gas, he is therefore able to spread it around without a gas mask and without worries of being infected. The Joker releases this gas quite a lot, so if he wasn't immune he'd have turned insane, or should I say even more insane, and possibly died, as the Joker gas has killed many people over the years. Though it should be said that not all versions of the Joker's character have this immunity, but generally speaking the Joker is seemingly immune to all toxins, including his own Joker gas and the Scarecrow's fear gas, which does come in handy from time to time. How he became immune is not exactly clear, though it's generally thought to be a side effect of him falling into that vat of chemicals that turned him into the Joker in the first place. Though it has also been suggested that it may be because of the fact that the Joker has conducted many experiments on himself over the years, and that this is a side effect from that, though no one knows for sure. And in the video game Batman Arkham City, this works against him, as all the chemicals in his blood become too much for his body to bear, and his blood transforms into something poisonous that is slowly killing him, and kills anyone else with that blood in them, which is a major plot point of the game. So obviously this immunity didn't help him in that case. Number 3. Vampire Joker. The film, The Batman vs. Dracula, is exactly what it sounds like, Batman fighting Dracula. It turns out that Dracula is buried in a coffin in a Gotham cemetery, with a lot of crucifixes around his coffin to make sure he doesn't rise. But the Penguin disturbs his coffin as he knows that money is buried in a coffin under a cross in that cemetery.
The crypt behind the tombstone with the cross? But I think I'll keep more specific directions to myself until we get there.
The problem is he doesn't know which grave the cash is buried in, but he thinks it's Dracula's, but of course it isn't. And the Penguin accidentally gets a drop of blood on Dracula's body, and that's all he needs to come back from the dead. He manages to hypnotise the Penguin into becoming his slave.
I'm Penguin, I'll be your server.
And then he starts infecting the people of Gotham and turning them into vampires. As for the Joker, he is thought to be dead in the film.
Alfred, tonight Joker met his demise.
But in fact he had an encounter with Dracula himself, and is turned into a creature of the night, with enhanced senses and superhuman strength and speed. The full extent of his powers aren't really shown in the film, apart from his enhanced senses, but he should also have some sort of telepathy, as most vampires can hypnotise people. Well, I say most vampires, a lot of vampires can't, to be fair, but in this case the Dracula that turned him can hypnotise people, so it makes sense that the Joker would inherit this power as well. Unfortunately, the Joker doesn't keep these powers for long, as Batman is able to capture him, and then uses him as a lab rat to find an antidote to the vampirism, so that he can save the Joker and the others that Dracula has turned into vampires. Of course, no one has ever actually found a cure for vampirism in this universe, but this is Batman we're talking about, and he manages to find an antidote in the end, and save his city by turning everyone back into humans, except for Dracula.
You may have cured my human victims of their disease, but no earthly medicine can cure a supernatural affliction.
The downside to the Joker being a vampire, of course, is that he can't go out during the day, because he'll burst into flames, which is actually what eventually leads to Dracula's death in this film.
I'm the Batman, and you're dust.
Number 2. He becomes an immortal Dark Judge. The Joker becomes immortal in the Batman Judge Dredd crossover by using an interdimensional transporter so that he can get over into Judge Dredd's alternate universe, and then while there he manages to become a Dark Judge, which are basically evil spirits that live forever. Now, personally I don't think this is real immortality, as he later loses the power and is able to die again. And to my mind, if you're really immortal, then you can't die no matter what, and that means the power can never be taken away from you. But the comic book does define him as being immortal, and by comic book logic, I guess that is true. The Dark Judges are a group of superpowered villains that, as I said, are best described as evil spirits, and they need to possess someone in order to really get anything done, much like most evil spirits. Now, this group actually believes that only living people can commit crimes, and therefore living is a crime as well, and they set out to kill everyone in the world in order to stop everyone from committing crime. In their mind, they actually think that they're saints and that they're ending crime forever. The logic of it's pretty twisted, but the weird part is you can kind of understand it. But twisted or not, these judges carry out their mission like religious zealots, and they also have the added feature of being immortal. And when the Joker finds out about this, he decides to cut a deal. And so he talks to a Dark Judge and says that he will free the other Dark Judges and give them host bodies in exchange for immortality. Now, at first, one of the Dark Judges does actually try to take over the Joker's mind instead, but because of the Joker's insanity, he's actually unable to control him. And since he can't control them, he therefore decides to go along with the plan. And when the other Dark Judges are free, they do make the Joker immortal, and they do it by merging his spirit with a corpse, which wasn't quite what he had in mind, but it does get the job done. And in this state he can't die, and he also has another superpower, as his laugh is now deadly, and it causes people's heads to explode if they hear it. At first he goes around just killing a lot of people for fun, but he quickly gets bored of just mindless slaughter for no purpose. Yes, it does seem odd that the Joker would get bored of that, but always bear in mind that most of the Joker's plans involve him actually having a higher purpose. Yes, he does usually kill, slaughter and hurt a lot of people, but it's usually done for a purpose. Even if that purpose is pure insanity, it still makes sense to the Joker's mind. And so the Joker decides to return to Gotham, but when he travels back, he's using a 40-dimensional transporter, and because of this, when he's transported to Gotham, he's reverted back to his normal state, meaning he is no longer a Dark Judge, and therefore no longer immortal, and no longer has the killing laugh that makes people's heads explode. Number 1. Emperor Joker. In the story arc Emperor Joker, which was collected in the graphic novel Superman Emperor Joker, the Joker manages to get 99.9% of Mxyzptlk's powers. Now, Mxyzptlk is an imp from the 5th dimension, where everyone has superpowers, and although in their dimension this is perfectly normal for them all to have these powers, if they travel down into the 3rd dimension, our dimension, it basically turns them all into gods, able to do pretty much anything they can imagine.
Hey McGurk, finish your business and let's get going!
Huh? Oh, sorry, Mix.
Now, Mxyzptlk is a Superman villain who pops in every 90 days or so and makes trouble for Superman, like setting up a fight between Superman and Bizarro.
Me make Superman. Hey,
That's my boy!
He does it for fun, but eventually he gets bored of playing with Superman like this, and he decides to try something different. So he goes to the Joker, who has hassled Batman for years, thinking that the Joker must have some fun ways to annoy Superman. Now obviously the Joker and Batman both don't have superpowers, whereas Superman does have superpowers, and quite a powerful set at that. So Mxyzptlk figures that if he gives the Joker superpowers, then he should be able to annoy Superman just as well as he annoys Batman, which will be fun for Mxyzptlk to watch. Now he only plans to give him 1% of his powers, which is still quite a lot because he's incredibly powerful. But unfortunately, the Joker was able to learn Mxyzptlk's secret name, which is apparently a weakness of the 5th dimensional creatures. And because of this, the Joker is able to take 99.9% of Mxyzptlk's powers, instead of just taking 1%. And this power allows the Joker to do quite literally anything. From flight to teleportation, to matter manipulation, to altering the very fabric of reality, to creating sentient life. He even has the anti-life equation, which allows the Joker to subjugate every living being in the universe, which annoys Darkseid as he has hunted for the anti-life equation for years, and he hates the fact that the Joker has it, because in Darkseid's mind, only Darkseid is allowed to have the anti-life equation. But even he can't stop the Joker's just too powerful at this point. But the point basically being that the Joker can do anything that he can imagine, and the Joker can imagine quite a lot, so he recreates the world in his own image, including rewriting people's memories, and putting Superman in a prison as a criminal, and turning the whole world against him, and making him the most wanted criminal in Metropolis. And he manages to do all of this in just 69 seconds. though he later loses these powers of course, though oddly enough not in a fight. Instead, Superman takes a page from Batman's book and uses psychology against him. And Superman realises that the Joker can't erase Batman from the universe, as he needs him, as he has declared before.
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? No, you complete me.
So when the Joker tries to erase Batman to prove a point to Superman, his subconscious won't let him, as he secretly always wants Batman to be in his universe. And this causes a chain reaction in Joker's mind, and he loses control of his powers, and ends up reverting to his normal form. And it comes across that basically it was just too much power for a human being to control for a long period of time. And so the power goes back home to Mxyzptlk, who is able to then put the universe back the way it was, with the help of the Spectre. And in the show Batman the Brave and the Bold, this storyline was actually adapted into an episode, though it's not Mxyzptlk who gives his powers to the Joker.
I'm from the 5th dimension. Beings from my realm have powers that you 3Ds take for magical.
For those who don't know, Batmite is self-declared as being Batman's biggest fan, and actually features in a lot of LEGO movies and LEGO video games. And in the show Batman the Brave and the Bold, Batmite drops in from time to time on Batman, and he isn't actually there to cause any trouble, he actually just wants to drop in and see his hero in action. But he does inadvertently normally end up causing trouble for Batman.
That was never a fair fight. You've got skills and weapons. All he's got is a daily planner. Let's bump him up a notch.
And so Batman has grown to be quite stressed out when he's there, help him win. But instead, the powers accidentally go to the Joker, and the Joker becomes a god. And he spends his time with his powers, wreaking havoc and killing Batman, and then resurrecting him, and then killing him, and then resurrecting him, and then killing him, and then resurrecting him, and so on and so on. And again, he basically remolds the whole world in his own image, until Batman points out that if he makes the whole world insane, then in this new world, the Joker would be normal.
I'll give it all up. Please just let me go back to being me.
Person can get. And that is 5 times that the Joker has gotten superpowers. My personal favourite is the Arkham Asylum storyline, because it's one of the best games ever made, and I love how over the top it is in transforming the Joker into this absolutely brilliant Titan design, and hopefully we'll get another Arkham game sometime soon. But what do you think? Which one of these is your favourite superpower for the Joker to have? And are there any other times that the Joker has gotten superpowers that you think should have been on this list? Be sure to let us know in the comments, and I'd just like to say a quick thank you to those who made this video possible by donating to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. Patreon is a crowdfunding site that's helping us to bring you more videos each week and to raise funds for adapting comic book stories into short animated films. If you're interested in donating or just want to find out more, a link is in this video's description. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.